So today we'll see how to use multiple conditions if statement. I'll open the VBA editor. I'll insert a new module here. Now I'll take an example. First of all, I'll show you the syntax, how exactly you need to use this. If, then, else if statement. So you need to begin with if. You need to provide the first condition and you need to mention then. So whatever has to be executed, if the first condition is true, you need to specify that here. So those code of lines should be mentioned over here. And next, if the first condition fails, let's say, then we need to check for another condition. We use else if over here and we'll mention the second condition in this case. So it will go on like this. You can provide up to 64 conditions. So that is the limit that we have. And it will continue like this. See, else if condition n, I'll say, then whatever statements for this particular condition. So here I could be saying like n is less than or equal to 64. That's the number. So you can give up to 64 conditions is the meaning of this. And finally, you also use this else part where you don't mention any condition. See, this part will execute if all the conditions that you have provided will fail. And we'll end it with end if. So this is the syntax. Now let me explain you again how this works. Now this is also known as multiple condition if statement. Now this works in this manner. You first give a condition. This condition will be checked. If it is true, the first set of statements will execute and it will come out of the if block. Only if it is false, it will check for the second condition. And if this is true, the second set of statements that you provided will execute and it will again come out of the if block. So it will move on to the other conditions only if the previous conditions are false. Now suppose all these conditions failed. We need to know, right? So even without the else part, you can use this multiple condition if statement. But the problem is if the input that you provided did not satisfy any of the conditions that you provided. So we need to know why it did not work. For that, you could be using this else part. Else part doesn't check for any condition. So all the previous conditions that you gave, if it fails, so this part will execute. So it's like a final result. Okay, I'll take an example over here. Now let's say I would like to compare the age value. So based on the age, it should give me the category. Age category has to be provided. Now I'll just list down the conditions over here. So if the age is between, let's say, 0 to 10 years, so let's mention the age category as kid. So this is age range and this is the category that we want to display based on the age value that we provide as an input. Now if the age range is from 11 to 19, so then it is teen, and from 20 to, let's say, 45, you can say middle age. This as teenage we can mention, and above that is 46 to, let's say, 659. we can say, okay, or let me change this to young adult and this one as middle age. I'm just taking some example to show you how it works. So anything above this 59, that is 60 to 100, we can mention that as old age. Now the age range should be from 0 to 100 only. If anyone enters a value less than 0 or greater than 100, let's say, in that case, it should show me invalid age. So that should be the result for us in the category. So let's take an input cell. I'll provide age over here. So age value I'll provide in this particular cell. I'll just highlight it with a cell color. And I would like to see the category based on the age value that I provide in the next cell. So I'll just take another color over here. Now age, I'll provide some value like 32, let's say. Now for this, the answer should be in this category. That is young adult should be printed here. Now let's write a program and check if it's going to work in the same way. And say sub, I'll say derive age category. Just change the name like this. Now we require two variables over here. One is to store the age value and to store the category value. The age value we have already provided here. We need to give this as an input to our macro. And the category, whatever we store in the category variable, should be printed onto this particular cell. So just let's take the cell address. It's sheet 1, C12 is the age value. I'll first declare these two variables here. Dim age as, see, since age is a number, I'll just say byte would be fine because it takes only from 0 to 255. You could be taking this, or if you mention integer, you will be allowing the users to enter some invalid values also, like minus 2 or more than 200, something like that. So let me use age, and next is category. I'll name it as category. It's a string value. Whatever we are trying to print is a text. So I want to give this as string. Now age value is already there in the cell. We are using that and will assign the age variable with that cell address. Just say age is equal to sheet 1 range of C12 dot value. Next. So once I have this age, I am going to check in which category this age range will fall into. For that, I'll use this multiple condition if statement. Start if our condition is whether age is greater than or equal to 0 and age is less than or equal to 10. And you need to mention then over here. If it is in this range, now the category value should be set to kid over here. Else, if my given age value is not in this particular category, so it should check the next condition. So here I'll say age greater than 10 and age less than or equal to 19. Then category will be equal to, so we'll say teenage. Again, else if, so next condition, age is greater than 19 and age less than or equal to 45. Then we'll say category is equal to young adult. Next, else if again age greater than 45 and age less than or equal to 59, then the category will be middle age. So you must be observing something here. The variable names are not given in double quotes, only the value that we assign to it. If it is a text, we are going to give that in double quotes. Again, else if age greater than 59 and age less than or equal to 100, so then category is equal to old age. And else part, see, we gave all our conditions that we had. Now the else part should consider any invalid entry in the age cell. So I'll say invalid age. In case the age that the user has mentioned is not within this range, not within 0 to 100, then it should print me as invalid age. Now after we have checked for the category our age value falls into, we will print this category back to that cell. See, this has to be decided in order to print on that cell. So first we need to decide what this age category is, and then we'll print this category value onto that cell. So I need to mention the cell address first. Now it was age was given in C12. So we gave just below in the next row, we had to print category. So it is C13 dot value is equal to whatever is stored in this category variable, the same thing has to be printed onto that cell. Now let me assign this macro to one of the shapes here. I'll insert a shape so that every time I change the age value, I could just click on this shape and get the category value. Say age category. I'll just right click on this. I'll get assign macro. See, we have this macro that we have given. So now you just click on it, the macro has executed. So it says young adult. Now let me give another value. Just say 76 and click on the button. See, old age. If I give an invalid value, let's say -8, it should show me invalid age here. So you could be using this multiple condition if statement to get such a output here. Okay, so you can again go through here. We mentioned 76. It will first check for the age category over here. If it's not satisfying this particular category, it will check again the next condition, next condition. It will go on like this until all conditions are done. So it will not reach this else part. Now once you say it's some invalid input is given, it will first check all of these, and once it is false for all the other conditions, the else part is executed. Fine. See, there is an alternative method for this if else if statement. Okay, I'll just show you that how that will be useful for us. It is also known as select statement, select case statement. I'll show you the syntax for select case statement here. So it is more or less do the same job as this if else if statement. Only thing is it is going to reduce your typing, and it is more efficient in a way, like it will check for these conditions once at a time, and only if the condition evaluates to true, that part will be executed. So let me show you that. It says select. You should begin with select and mention case here, and on which variable you are giving the condition. You need to mention that condition, the variable name over here. I'll say conditional variable, something like this. The variable on which you are providing the condition. And next you will mention the case condition 1. So first condition. And for this you are providing the statements to be executed. You see the format is almost the same, only thing is the typing has reduced for me. So statements 2, if the condition 2 evaluates to true, we'll execute the second set of statements that we have provided. And even here the limit is up to 64 condition. Say statements n. So I'll just say n is a number and it is less than or equal to 64. That's the condition over here. And even here in the select case statement, we have case else to deal with the invalid inputs. So suppose your input is not within any of the conditions that you mentioned, then this else part will take care of it. And it should be ended with end select. Now let me take the same example and implement it using the select case. I'll just show you the difference here. Sub derive age category using select case. So I'll take the same variables here, dim age as integer and dim category as string, and I'll take the same cell for age value. Age equals sheet 1 range of, so C12 was the cell over there. We are going to continue with the same. And now let me start the conditions using select case. So age is the variable on which I am checking, I am applying the condition. I'll say case age or case 0 to 10. You can only mention this part and just say category is equal to kid. Case 11 to 19. Say category is equal to teenage. So you could write it pretty faster when compared to the previous example. So here we had till 45 and category is equal to young adult, and case 46 to 59, category would be middle age, and case 60 to 100, the category would be old age. And the final one, case else, should take care of the invalid entries. So we'll say invalid age value and we'll end it with end select. After we are done with providing all these conditions and statements for it, we'll print the category value back onto the sheet. So again, I'll mention the cell address. So it is C13 dot value should be equal to category. Now let's see if it is going to work in the same way. I'll go to this sheet. I'll insert another shape here and just copy paste it. I'll change the content of this. I'll just change the label. It says select case, and I'll assign a different macro that we currently wrote. Click on assign macro. You see, derive age category using select case. Say OK. You can see here I'll change the value to 23, and when I click on this button, the problem is with the variable name that we provided. You can see here I have done a spelling mistake. Let me just correct it. So all these are spell checks. You need to be a little careful while typing it. Again, the same mistake over here. Okay, now we are good to go. Yes, you see, now it is giving me the result appropriately. I'll mention 5. And when I click on the select case, it gives me kid. So the same result will appear for the other shape also. I'll just change the shape color so that you will be able to find the difference. Okay. So that was about how to use the select case instead of, it's an alternative method to work with multiple conditions. There is another type of if known as nested if. See, when you are providing multiple conditions, again, one nested within another. That's known as nested if. So let me show you how to use that part. It's known as nested if. So this is like your any other if function, but let me show you here. You'll start with if, you'll provide a condition to be checked, you'll give then, and see if this condition is true. You want to check for another condition. So let me give it this way. Yes, if again another condition on this, and if it is true, so let's say for this you provide some statements here, and suppose for the inner if you want to give else part, you can use it this way. You will end this in end if. So for all these you need to provide the comment marks. Again, you can continue with the else part of the outer if function. So I'll give else, and for this again you can provide some statements, or even within this if you have any condition to check, you can provide over here. In the else part, if you have some other condition to check, you can give this, and for this again you can use all these that we wrote now. So it's a little confusing, but if you have condition to be checked after another condition, then you will nest it this way. And these indents will help you, which is the outermost if and which is the innermost if. So these things are helpful to identify that. So I prefer you to use indentations. Indentation is a tab space given to just differentiate the level of ifs or level of statements and the condition. So that will help you understand it will increase the code's readability. For that we use it. Okay, now let's say I'll use an example over here. See, I'll take a simple example over here. Based on the input that I provide, it should check whether it's a text or a number. And if it is a number, again, a number greater than a particular value, so it should highlight in a color to me. So we are having this nested if scenario over here. So let's write that sub check num and text. I'll just give this as the name of the macro. I'll take a variable here, dim input, and say input. Input is another keyword here. I'll just use, okay, I'll give this like this, input as variant. See, I don't know what could be my input here. So I can choose a variant. Variant will incorporate any kind of value. You can give it as an input to variant. If it is a text or number or decimal value, so any big number, small number, anything can be provided as an input to your variant. If you don't know, if you're not sure of what is your input, then you can go for variant over here. I'll just use this part, and let's say I'll choose a cell where I want to print this input value. Let's go here. So input value. So I want it to print in I3 of sheet 1. So I'll just highlight the cell with a different color. So here I want my input to be printed. Now let's go back. Or rather I'll give some gray or something so that my input looks much better. Yeah. Now let's go back. So I have to first check if the input is your cell value, input is equal to sheet 1 range of I3 dot value. I'll have to first check. See, I'll have to first check if it is a text or a number, and just give some text like this. Let's go back. If input, so we have a function, a built-in function in VBA to check whether the given variable value is a number or a text here. See, if is numeric is the function name, I'll be applying this on the input variable. If this value is equal to true, see, if it is a number, it will give me true as the answer, else it will give me false as the answer. I'll use this. If it is a number, I have another condition. If in underscore put, whether it is greater than 25, I have this condition to check. Then I'll mention in the message box saying input is a number. I need to enclose these things in double quotes. I'll do that. Is a number greater than 25. So input is your variable value. I need to concatenate this text along with that variable value. So if it is false, if it is not a number, what should happen? You'll give that in the else part. So if it is not greater than 25, then I have another message to print. So just go here, copy this. So I'll say it is less than 25 over here. and you'll end it over here as end if. The else part of the outer if has to be taken care now. If it is a number, if it is false, I'm sorry, if it is not a number, what should happen? I'll just print another message saying input is not a number, or I can just say is a text value. I have taken a very simple example. This can be much more complicated if you try to give some complex example. If you want to try, you can try with this. Just to make you understand how the nested if works, I have taken this. Even in the else part, you could include other if conditions again and check for something else over there. Now, let me run this. You can see here, number is a text value. Number is what I have provided here. I'll give some space also after this. Now, let me insert a shape to run this. I'll say check input, and I'll assign a variable, assign a macro to it. Say check number or text. Say I'll type a value here. You can see 876 is a number greater than 25. You get this. If I give a value less than that, it will give me another result. And if I give some text here, you will get that. So you could be using this nested if condition for checking conditions in this fashion. You have nested an if condition within another if condition, and you also have else part for that. See, for this, if you have these indents provided, you will be able to understand the structure properly. So if you start everything from the same column, so it will be difficult for you to differentiate which is the inner if, which is the outer if. So for that, we use this indents. Okay. So I'll stop the session here. I hope you will be able to practice these things and get back to me later if you have any queries. Okay. So see you tomorrow with the other programs and other topics. Thank you.